Welcome back. Lines of latitude extend from the equator to the North Pole, and Pennsylvania is located in the mid-latitudes, which is a perfect location if you enjoy cold winters or blazing hot summers.
Yeah, a little bit of both. It's a region that experiences all four seasons, actually. Meteorologist Brett Thakara talks more about our location at 40 degrees north latitude.
Latitude is an important factor when discussing climate. Certainly that may seem like common sense. The farther north you go, the polar regions are capped with ice. The tropics have a lot of warm weather. But even locally, latitude is so important, and that's why I'm standing here along the Pennsylvania Turnpike. It is a landmark we use in our forecast to differentiate between our northern tier counties and our southern tier counties, which have a vastly different climate. More on that in just a little bit. But in terms of why Pennsylvania has such a unique climate, for that, we turn to some thoughts from senior lecturer at Penn State, Fred Gadomski.
Pennsylvania is at the crossroads of the jet stream, and it is also a place that has nearby large bodies of water. It's a place with complicated terrain effects. All those things together make Pennsylvania one of the ultimate weather playgrounds for a meteorologist, and also it makes it very interesting if you're just a weather lover and a weather watcher.
Thanks as always to Fred Gadomski for that great insight on climate factors that affect Pennsylvania. And we'll get back to the Turnpike in just a moment. But let's take a broader view now of why the mid-latitudes are so important and why everybody's latitude has an impact on climate. At the mid-latitudes, much like Eric Finkenbinder and I on a daily basis, there's a fight going on. And this fight is between warm air and cold air in the atmosphere. You know, in the northern latitudes near the ice caps and the poles, the cold air, that's constantly wanting to move to the south. Warm air near the equator is constantly wanting to move to the north. And in between, right where we sit, that's called the mid-latitudes. And so you get this constant battle between warm and cold air, and that's why we have active weather patterns. Even on a smaller scale, you know, the farther north you live, the more of a winter type influence you get, more of that polar influence you get. The farther south you live here, and it's all based on latitude, the more of a tropical influence you get. We are right in between, right along that 40th parallel here in our viewing area, so we get polar influences, we get tropical influences here in Pennsylvania. But even on the smallest of scales, latitude plays an important role, and that includes here for fall foliage. You know, we're heading into the fall season, and you can see that we've got the fall foliage peaking across northern Pennsylvania much earlier than it does for most of our viewing area, which is in mid to late October. And that's just based on where you sit here during your line of, or on your line of latitude. Pennsylvania and the February high temperature chart showing you anywhere from 35 to 40 degrees for an average high across the northern tier counties, but the southern tier counties are about 5 degrees warmer than that. Areas in red have an average high in February of 40 to 45 degrees, and if you look at that line, that kind of follows the Turnpike, and that's why we started this piece at the Turnpike, because it's such a great indicator of different weather patterns here, almost bisecting our viewing area. So once again, when you look at that here, at the close-up view, you see how closely that average temperature map follows the Turnpike. So there's different climates across our northern tier counties and our southern tier counties, all based on latitude. For Beyond the Forecast, I'm meteorologist Brett Thakara.
Thanks, Brett. Stay with us. Coming up after the break, we talk about our next Beyond the Forecast as we gear up for winter.